Are you ready? I said, are you ready? Are you ready for Simpsons football episodes? A Sunday night party. Got Homer, Marge, Bart, Lisa, Maggie. It's a wonderful time. You'll see the hits. You'll hear the crunch. All my rowdy friends are here. It's Simpsons football. It's the Super Bowl. Hey there, hello there. It's Jeff Cutter Diamond, and it is Super Bowl 52. February 4th, 2018. Pats, my beloved New England Patriots, take on the Philadelphia Eagles. A great time to be a Pats fan for sure. But anyway, the main reason why I'm here is to talk about the 4 Simpsons football episodes that have happened in history. Now, do note I will be doing a sports one shortly, but of course, all the other sports don't count. Now, there are a few episodes that did imply some kind of football in it, but I did not include them because they were not the main focus, including that lacrosse one. There would be Buzz with Kirk and Homer, and then the one when Grandpa becomes a bullfighter and attempts to commit suicide after the town turns on him for losing the football franchise. That's not the main plot. So anyway, the first football episode came just before Super Bowl 26 in 1992. It was called Lisa the Greek, in a homage to Jimmy the Greek, who was a prognosticator, who was fantastic. Lisa starts off this episode by trying to show Homer her impressive shoebox for Malibu Stacy, but Homer rather watches football. So basically, he gets mad at the prognosticator, who said, well, when you're right 52% of the time, you're wrong 48% of the time. So basically, Homer lost some money. And then the next game was Miami-Cincy. A lot of people are picking Cincy, including Professor Frink and the sports and the coaches hotline that uses a money technique to say each word slowly, like Cincinnati, to make sure people have to pay for their call. So anyway, Lisa then bluntly says Miami. Homer puts money on Miami to win and wins from Mo. He explains to Lisa about the money that he wins and, they'll bond together. So they decide to bond for daddy-daughter days on Sunday. Marge uses this to try to bond with Bart and take some clothes shopping at a secondhand store. Now, from personal experience, secondhand stores are not that bad. I found some cool nuggets. I found a Roger Clemens Toronto Blue Jays t-shirt that I had until his stupid steroid problems, and I got rid of it because obviously Roger Clemens was not a hero to me anymore. He was dead to me, if you will. But anyway, I digress. On the take it to secondhand store, Bart is upset that these clothes are secondhand because the kids who wear it often get beat up. Marge bluntly says that anyone who beats you up is not your friend. So basically, she manages to embarrass Bart by accidentally opening up the dressing room door, exposing Bart his underwear, and noting that he needs new underwear too. So basically, Bart's in his outfit. He's stuck in the car. Unfortunately, he will have to get beaten up or else get rocked in the car. So anyway, Lisa and Homer spend a lot of time watching football and all that, and Lisa helps Homer win money. That she actually makes that one of her best days of her life. At the same time as Ralph saying that his best day was when the doctor said he never had worms. So anyway, Marge is upset over the fact that, all this money, and wants to know why Homer has all this money to take him out to fancy restaurants to buy him clothes and some gifts and all that. Homer then tells Marge about the plan with Lisa, and Marge is upset that he's using Lisa as a pawn for his gambling. But Homer says the only person he's hurting is Mo, and besides, money is money. Marge then decides to basically back off, but then she decides to tell Homer that be careful what you wish for. So anyway, Homer decides to meet up with Barney and his mother the Sunday after the Super Bowl, but Lisa wants to go to Mount Springfield and hike up there. So basically, Homer is appalled by it. Lisa tells him that it's Daddy Dollar Day, and Homer basically just says that Lisa, there'll be plenty of Daddy Dollar Days when the football season begins again in September. So Lisa finally clues in that Homer was using her as a pawn. So she gets rid of all her Malibu Stacy stuff that Homer got for her. Well, she gives them away. She should have sold it. She would have made money hand over fist. But that would have defeated the purpose of gambling. And the fact of the matter is that she had some big nightmares. So unfortunately, Homer tries to apologize to Lisa. The unfortunate part was that he actually ended up wanting Lisa's pick for the Super Bowl between Washington and Buffalo. Lisa gives a cryptic pick, saying that if she loves Homer, then Washington will win. And if her subconscious hates Homer, it'll be Buffalo. So basically, Homer goes to Moe's tavern after not wanting to be in the same house as Lisa Sachs because it makes him sad. Moe tells Homer in no certain terms that basically he's out of money, even though Barney tells him that he's been taking bets all day. But Homer doesn't bet on the game. He just wants to watch the game. He actually ends up telling Larry, who's one of the barflies, or is it Sam? No, Sam's the one in the glasses, right? The barfly, or was it Larry? One of those two. I think it's Larry. But anyway, tells him that his daughter's love is on the line, and Larry says, "What a gambler." So basically, at the first half, Bart watches it, and Homer and Buffalo is leading by touchdown, which means Lisa's subconscious will disown Homer forever. He also makes a note to have snipers shoot down the Super Bowl halftime show, which was at the Metrodome, which is ironically the last time Minnesota had hosted a Super Bowl until this year, 2018. So anyway, Washington does end up winning the game, and Homer's happy, even though Moe tells him, "You didn't win any money. Money comes and money goes, but I have 8 more years with my daughter." And he decides to hike up Mount Springfield after all with Lisa. The second episode is the only non-Super Bowl themed football episode. It's called Bart's Star, after the great Green Bay quarterback who stayed for one team. So anyway, in 1997, all the kids in Springfield are tested. A lot of the boys are overweight, and basically Lisa makes fun of Bart, but Bart's comfortable in his own skin. Homer says he's a disgrace, despite the fact Homer's eating a Pop-Tart and chubbier than Bart. So basically, Camp Rockman says, what should be done? Well, there's 1 of 3 things. The Army, breakdancing, and Pee Wee football. Bart's happy to go with Pee Wee football, as are Rod and Todd after Ned tells him that it'll stop him from many vices, such as rock music and girls. Careful what you wish for, Ned, in the sexual orientation of your voice. I'm thinking about using that as one of my Simpsons Unleashed thing, but that's for another time. So anyway, Milhouse doesn't like it because he's not athletic. He'd rather have the surgery than play Pee Wee football. So anyway, Bart goes with Marge to get his equipment, and Marge has a tough time with the clerk. She wants a cup, C-U-P. But of course, the clerk obviously tricked her into saying, "I want a C-U-P." You know what that means. So anyway, Ned's the coach, and he does pretty well with the coach thing. Makes Bart a blocker, Nelson the quarterback, and gives Ralph a spot on special teams. I'm special. Careful what you say, Ralph. So anyway, Lisa wants to bully her way on the team. Ned says that's fine. You can join the other 4 girls. That would be Sherry, Terry, Janie, and I think the little blonde girl with the pigtails. I forget what's her name. I think she's one of Lisa's classmates, or Bart's classmates. It's not Allison Taylor. I don't think it was Allison. But regardless, Lisa's like, she wanted to be individualistic. And of course, it's still at the time that youth sports was male dominated, especially football. So she decides not to do it because you hurt the skin of an innocent pig. Unfortunately for her, everything is synthetic, and money goes to Amnesty International. So basically, they take away all of Lisa's complaining points. So regardless of what happens, Lisa stops going to the team, and Ned's doing well with the team. And Homer doesn't feel that way and heckles Ned, basically knowing that Flanders won't strike back. But when he throws a beer can and it lands on Ned, Ned gets mad at Homer. Homer then tells him that, it's simple, you're 2-0, but anyone with half a brain can coach this team. And Ned gives Homer the clipboard. Homer's like, you're doing such a great job. I think he was just teasing Ned for that. We would also learn that in later years that Homer bullies Ned because he's jealous of Ned having everything together and Homer not having anything. Regardless of what happens, Homer's the coach and wants to get Bart into shape. But Marge reminds Homer that you shouldn't do that to Bart. You mean to Bart because his father was mean to Homer in rhythmic gymnastics, no artistic gymnastics. That's the the floor exercise. And of course, William Smithers is showing his persona of homosexuality, saying, "Let's bring on the men." Now, I don't care what you say. Being on tumbler, like on the floor exercise for a man's gymnast does not make you gay at all. Trust me. Regardless, Homer does a good routine, but his dad throws him off. So basically, he decides to be nicer to Bart, but meaner to Abe. He's always mean to Abe, but sometimes it's a good thing. Anyway, Bart realizes that Homer wants to hug him, and so basically runs around the obstacles avoiding Mr. Homer. So basically, Homer wants to shower Bart with praise and give him the spot of star quarterback, even though Bart says, "I'm a much better blocker," and Nelson's carrying the team. Unfortunately, Bart as quarterback sucks, and they only score 3 points. So basically, the team threatens Bart with trouble if he ever was quarterback again, or they lose. They throw Bart into the mud, and Ralph says, "You're going to heaven." I don't know why that part was kind of syndication. That's cute. So anyway, Bart finds out he needs help being quarterback and finds Joe Namath, Broadway Joe. But Broadway Joe is just there because his car broke down. And just when he's ready to give Bart tips on being a quarterback, his companion says, "Joe, it was just paper lock." Oh, brother. So unfortunately, Bart can't do anything about it and decides to fake his way out of being quarterback. And rather than give Nelson the reins at quarterback, Homer rather forfeit the game, even though Bart's trying to tell Homer that it's part of the team. But Homer doesn't believe it, and Bart angrily quits on the spot. Homer is furious at Bart, and when Bart is intimidated to quit dinner, Homer blames Marge because Marge quit several things, like church lady. She quit because I guess she gave Ned bad advice and it stuck with her. Pretzel lady, but that was because the Investorettes basically were trying to destroy Marge. And professional gambler, although Homer was the one who stopped her from being a professional gambler for the sake of the family. He decides to try to teach Bart that if Bart wants to quit, I'll quit my job too. Unfortunately, it doesn't go over well. Bart's not phased. Homer's team does win a few games and goes to the championship, but Homer realizes that he needs Bart and decides to apologize to Bart, saying that I was so ready to encourage you that basically I didn't know how much you sucked. I will never encourage you again. And they make up. Bart takes over Ooter's spot as tackle. Grandpa Simpson, of course, is not happy that Homer's taking his team to the championship game. So anyway, down by a few points, Homer draws up a play using the electric football. But Chief Wiggum wants Nelson for a crime. Bart says he can replace Nelson. Of course, we are left to know, will Bart be quarterback or will Bart take the rap for Nelson's crime? He does the latter. Springfield wins, and Bart thinks it's just petty vandalism, but it's arsonism and domestic violence or something like that. He's going to be put away for a while. Obviously, Chief Wiggum must have realized something because Bart's not in prison. And Joe Namath ends the show talking about paper lock. Yuck. Okay, well, the third episode of the Super Bowl stuff was Sunday Cruddy Sunday, which happened January 31st, 1999, the same day as Super Bowl 33 between the Falcons and the Broncos, and they do get the names right, and also when Family Guy premiered after the Super Bowl. I think it was after. No, it wasn't after the Super Bowl because Fox put the Super Bowl episode on right at 8 o'clock. Well, anyway, the story starts that Bart ends up getting a coupon book from a trip to the post office, and of course, it portrays the post office workers as surly and money grubbing. So basically, what ends up happening is that he gives the coupon book to Homer as a birthday present, and Homer's happy. So he takes it for free wheel balancing, but the salesman says that you need 4 new tires. Homer begs him not to do it, and so basically the salesman is hooing and hawing, and then the owner comes by and yells at the salesman, "You're fired," and Homer takes the 4 new tires, and everyone smiles at him. At first, I didn't realize what that meant, but after a few showings, I realized that the salesman had the come hither look at the guy, and the owner nods. It was just a charade to get money, and of course, the picture on the wall shows the salesman with money in his hand. Money is the root of all evil. Excuse me. So anyway, Homer is stuck in the tire shop, but a guy by the name of Wally Kogan, voiced by Fred Willard, comes by and says, "I know that look. They got you. You went for free wheel balancing, and they got you for something." So basically, Homer has to pay $600 for 4 new tires. Wally says, "Well, I was worse. They had me doing the winter package." So basically, what ends up happening is that they go to Moe's for beer and watch TV while they wait, and they talk about the Super Bowl, and Moe puts up, they do this clever thing with a beer mug. When they say the name, Moe says Atlanta Falcons, Homer says Denver Broncos, and Wally says President Clinton with Hillary. Now, this was supposed to be a thing for Fox every year to name the teams in the Super Bowl and then name the president. Unfortunately, they never did that after '99. Weird. So anyway, Homer is coerced into putting up a Super Bowl bus, and he gets a lot of people, including Ned Flanders. So regardless, and after chasing away a Rudy lookalike, if you've never watched Rudy, that's a great football movie starring Sean Astin. So anyway, they go to Miami and party hard, and basically Ned is nitpicky about not going to church, but Rosie Greer and the NFL has something like that. And Dan Marino even throws passes to people. Once one to Bart, but unfortunately Homer intercepts it and gets his spine crushed. Oh yeah, Troy Aikman does caricatures. So anyway, Marge and Lisa are bored and want to know what they're going to do, so they basically do some art stuff from Hattie and Selma. Well, Lisa at first hates paint by numbers because it's primitive, and then leathercraft because of her vegetarianism and it's her cows. But she finds egg magic, and they have a fine time, but they're missing some parts. And so Marge calls the hotline, and a voice that sounds like Vincent Price says that, "Just leave your address, and my grandson Jody will send you the missing stuff." And then Marge goes, "Springfield, Ohio, Maud, hiya." I don't think there's a Ohio in Springfield. So regardless, Homer and the group are ready to walk into the Super Bowl when they see a scalper, and Homer wants to give the scalper a royal caning for selling tickets to the Super Bowl. Scalping tickets to the Super Bowl at that. Unfortunately, their tickets are counterfeit because, for one thing, the hologram's missing. That's the obvious part. Number 2, no team called Spongles, and number 3, it's printed on a cracker. So basically, they're in trouble. Homer ends up taking beatings from a lot of people for the fact their Super Bowl tickets are counterfeit. And they try to sneak in, but they're sent to Super Bowl jail. But Dolly Parton saves them with makeup remover. So anyway, they run around for an hour and a half trying to get to the game. Unfortunately, they can't get there. They find a skybox, and as many people say that once you're in a skybox, you tend to look at the amenities more than the game, whereas I am the opposite direction. I'd rather be in the cheap seats watching a game than be in a luxury box, no matter how tempting food and drink and all that shit is. I must note that my buddy Bill, who's a fellow Tom Brady and New England Patriots fan, had a chance for box seats to the Kitchener Rangers game on Friday, the 2nd. Unfortunately, with him in Jamaica and the fact that he had to be responsible for my behavior, all that, even though I don't drink that much, it was a no-go. And I'm pissed off because the Rangers won that game, 4-3, I think. Regardless. So anyway, it was Rupert Murdoch's box seats, and Rupert Murdoch forces them out. And just when Homer and the group are going to the game, they get pushed from outside by the winning team, and they get the Super Bowl. They get Super Bowl rings. Bill Clinton actually calls, but Homer cuts him off to run after Reverend Lovejoy, who was snapping a towel at him. So basically, Homer ends up with the Vince Lombardi trophy, even though Bart says, "You don't deserve it, Dad. But this might be the last time I might win one." Now, of course, if you watch the episode, You Only Live Twice, Move Twice, excuse me. Homer gets gifted by Hank Scorpio the Denver Broncos, even though he wanted the Dallas Cowboys. Now, Homer would have 2 titles, 98 and 89, but knowing Homer, he probably stupidly sold them, even though he would keep the Lombardi Trophy for himself. And he did say, "This will probably be the last time I win one." Until 2016, that was actually true, but the Broncos beat the Panthers in that Super Bowl. Super Bowl 50. And the weird thing is that Pat Summerall and John Madden actually voiced themselves and did a very good job. And the last episode in the football quadrangle is Homer and Ned's Hail Mary Pass from 2005, which was premiered after the Super Bowl, which my beloved New England Patriots beat the Philadelphia Eagles narrowly by 3 points. Of course, those 2 teams are facing each other right now in 2018. That's weird. So anyway, the story starts that there's a carnival to help the downtrodden Springfield downtown parks. So basically what ends up happening is that Bart wins in a frog flipping game, and Homer beats him at that, and then he gets his prize, a big octopus plush toy, and he rides it like a bronco, and basically taunts Bart. So basically, Ned does it on his camcorder, and Jeffrey Albertson, who introduces himself as that, who's of course comic book guy, actually wants the tape and make it to internet. He tricks Ned. So basically, Homer's antics are spread across the internet. Jimbo, Kearney, and Dolph first see it in a website thing with 4 videos. One was beauty pageant diarrhea, one was boxer shot by wife, and of course big aspiration or cough, which was Homer. But they do not mention that the 4th video was called Loot Fruit, and of course it shows Martin playing the lute in his underwear, and they call him a fruit. Well, he of the guy who I forget his robot's name, but he wants to be with his robot more than a girl. And no, it's not a sex robot. It's a male robot, not a female. So anyway, they spread it across the internet. Homer fights Super Mario as Donkey Kong. That's funny. But then he finds out that there's a star athlete from Springfield who wants to pay him to use many techniques, like a touchdown celebrations and all that. So Homer basically is a choreographer. And then he gets real athletes such as Michelle Kwan, Yao Ming, Warren Sapp, and Tom Brady to do everything for him. So basically, they do their celebrations and all that. Tom Brady's is a little scaled down because, it's Tom Brady. Anyway, the fines that pull from the excessive celebrations and the fact that people like this thing gets the Pro Football Execs to give Homer a shot choreographing the Super Bowl. Homer, unfortunately, opens his mouth too much. They wanted to pay him. He says, "Ha, do it for free." "Okay, do it for free." "Damn, he tricked you. I would have paid you." "Okay, pay us." "Damn it." "Okay, I would have paid you in cash." "Pay us in cash." Damn. So regardless, now of course the subplot was when Ned was making his biblical films, and Burns signs on as a partner and makes a very gory film that Marge doesn't like. Ned asks what's wrong with it. Marge says the Bible is a better place. So basically, Burns challenges her and says, "Well, what are you going to do for power if it's not nuclear?" Marge says wind power, conservation, solar. Basically, too many options for Burns to go against Burns. Burns decides to keep his monopoly and disowns Ned's pictures. Ned's upset by that. Homer doesn't know what to do with the Super Bowl halftime show. He goes to church to pray and finds Ned, and basically they work together on the Super Bowl halftime show, which is sponsored by Moe's Tavern. Turns out that Moe's a pool shark, or rather, he hits the cue over everyone's heads. So anyway, Homer and Ned do the story of Noah. If you don't know what the story of Noah is that basically God tells Noah to have 2 of every creature onto an ark, and have as many people as possible, because he's going to flood the earth for 40 days and 40 nights. And Noah, of course, was saved because of that. So they do that with Central Helper as a dove, and using Warren, Tom, Michelle, and Yao to help with the halftime show. Unfortunately, it doesn't go over so well. If you watch the previews of the episode, Ken Brockman says that the Super Bowl show was one of the worst ever. Now, of course, this comes a year after Janet Jackson's infamous Nipplegate. Now, I will tell you personally that I did not pay attention to the halftime show. I mean, it was on the TV, but I did not watch it at all. I was actually engrossed into a football encyclopedia that my sister got me for Christmas, and I missed the halftime show. Like, I didn't look up at it. And then, of course, Edward, my brother, came by. I was still living in Plateau at the time. Said that, oh, this Janet Jackson thing. And I'm like, really? I missed that? But regardless, Ken made it obligatory. Maybe it'd be more raunchy for Homer. Unfortunately, it went the other way around in the biblical terms, in that people were not ready for religion and all that. Some are not really ready for religion nowadays, but at that time it was terrible. So anyway, this woman tells the reporter that you raise your kids to be secular humanists, but these stupid show types are trying to shove religion down our throat. Of course, this was just after Passion of Christ. So Homer is, of course, upset that no one wanted the message. And so that's all I got for the Super Bowl preview show. Hopefully, my New England Patriots win the Super Bowl and get number 6 to tie the Pittsburgh Penguins. Pittsburgh Steelers, no disrespect. Au revoir.